The glitz and glamour of Hollywood often hide a reality that most people aren't brave enough to face. The city of dreams is currently seeing the emergence of a truth so dark it feels like a fever dream. This entire investigation begins with a trail of paper, specifically the infamous Walt Disney Receipts. These weren't just simple financial transactions for family-friendly entertainment. They were the ledger of an underground network that bound A-list stars and global power players to a deep, sinister conspiracy. People often ask why the biggest names in the world were frequently spotted traveling to Jeffrey Epstein's private island. When you dive into these receipts, you realize they functioned as an entry pass into a world where the rule of law simply didn't exist. This wasn't just about high society parties, it was a system of mass manipulation and systemic blackmail. These documents contain revelations so explosive that if the full, unredacted files were ever released, the entire foundation of the entertainment industry would likely crumble overnight. The narrative takes an even darker turn when we examine the Thanksgiving connection involving Tom Hanks. For years, the internet has been buzzing over his cryptic social media posts, seemingly mundane photos of lost gloves or random shoes that, when viewed through the lens of these leaked files, take on a haunting new meaning. Why would one of the world's most beloved actors share images that feel like coded signals? In this circle, Thanksgiving wasn't just a holiday, it served as a linguistic marker for those who were part of the inner club. The timing of these posts and the specific metadata often align perfectly with flight logs showing private jets departing for the Caribbean. This wasn't a series of coincidences, it was a sophisticated ecosystem where human trafficking and elite depravity were disguised as business expenses and high-end travel. As we connect these dots, the golden curtain of Hollywood begins to pull back, revealing a landscape of illegal activity and a total betrayal of human rights. This is only the first chapter of a journey that leads straight into a structural nightmare. True power isn't just about money, it's about control over physical space, and the blueprints of Little St. James reveal a chilling architectural obsession with hiding the unthinkable. When investigators first analyzed the layout of the island, they didn't find a tropical paradise, they found a structural nightmare designed for total psychological dominance. The most haunting feature was the blue-roofed temple, a building that defied traditional logic. While it looked like a place of worship or a private library from the outside, the internal schematics told a different story. Hidden staircases and reinforced steel doors led to a subterranean labyrinth of tunnels that didn't appear on any official coastal maps. These weren't surface corridors for staff, they were silent transit routes designed to move people, victims and visitors alike, without ever being captured by the high-tech surveillance grid that blanketed the rest of the island. Every inch of that property was a black box, a high-tech blackmail factory, where the architecture itself was a weapon used to trap the world's most powerful people in their most compromised moments. As the leaked documents began to circulate, a specific directive known as the Berry Side of Hill Memo emerged, acting as a logistical roadmap for the island's darker activities. This wasn't just a random note, it was a manual for the processing of guests, dividing the island into restricted zones where only certain clearance levels were allowed. This is where the mystery of the temple mattresses becomes a critical piece of the puzzle. During the eventual federal raids, witnesses reported seeing stacks of high-end mattresses being frantically moved out of the temple in broad daylight. The reason was simple. Forensic science is the enemy of the elite. DNA does not lie, and the desperate attempt to scrub the crime scene of biological evidence proves that the temple was never for meditation. These blueprints show a calculated effort to create a sovereign state where human rights were non-existent. It was a playground built on the suffering of the innocent, meticulously designed by architects who helped create a world where the walls really did have ears, and every room was a silent witness to a betrayal of humanity. The narrative of this global conspiracy takes a bizarre and unsettling turn when we look at the woman who held the keys to the entire operation, Ghislaine Maxwell. Since her arrest and subsequent trial, a phenomenon known as the Maxwell Glitch has taken over the internet, fueled by anomalies that simply don't add up. For a woman who spent decades as the ultimate socialite, navigating the highest circles of royalty and politics, her sudden disappearance into the prison system felt less like justice and more like a tactical retreat. Investigative researchers have pointed out glaring inconsistencies in her court appearances and the few photographs released to the public. Some theorists argue that the woman seen behind the plexiglass wasn't the same Maxwell who graced the covers of society magazines for years. They point to forensic body language, subtle shifts in posture, height, and facial structure that suggest a body double might have been used to shield the real power player from public scrutiny. This glitch represents the terrifying possibility that even in a court of law, the elite have the resources to stage a performance rather than face a sentence. Beyond the physical appearance is the mystery of the 10-year prison glowdown. While most inmates experience the grueling physical toll of incarceration, the narrative surrounding Maxwell's time behind bars has been suspiciously controlled. There are no leaked photos, no genuine sightings, and her legal team continues to fight for sealed documents that could implicate hundreds of other high-profile individuals. The glitch isn't just about a person, it's about the system's refusal to show us the truth. Forensic digital analysts who caught a glimpse of the metadata before the servers were wiped reported a horrifying pattern. The data wasn't just being stored, it was being traded like a currency. This was a shadow economy where a person's soul was the ultimate commodity. The frantic effort to classify these files as national security risks tells you everything you need to know. It wasn't about protecting the victims, it was about protecting the perpetrators who still walk the halls of power today. The Jerky Lab files are the smoking gun of the 21st century, a digital vault of depravity that the deep state will do anything to keep locked, because once the light hits these files, there is no going back to the world as we knew it. The final layer of this conspiracy is the most agonizing for the public to witness, the blatant systemic betrayal of the people's trust. This is what insiders refer to as the Hypocrisy Vault, a collection of coded language and peculiar signals that high-profile individuals used to communicate their allegiance to the network while standing on global stages preaching about morality. It is a world where a celebrity can win a humanitarian award one night and be logged on a private flight to a black site the next morning. The vault contains the secret dictionary of the elite, specific phrases and even hand gestures used during televised interviews that served as a green light for the next phase of an operation. These weren't just quirks of personality, they were tactical communications designed to signal to other members of the club that the narrative was under control. The American viewer has been watching a scripted reality for decades, where the very people who claim to protect the children are the ones most deeply involved in their exploitation. The vault is open, the codes are broken, and the truth is finally demanding its day in the light.